Shabbat Shalom and Bruchim Habayim to all those who are joining us here for services at Congregation Kol Ami, coming from the Circle of Light, as we always do these days. It's a delight to be able to reach out to Jews across the country. And we're, of course, privileged that we have a small in-person minyan here, but we are expanded in our joy because we have you with us. So, here at Congregation Kol Ami, we always put community first, and so I'd like to raise a couple of community things. For those of you familiar, we always ask good and blessing. What good things have happened to you in the past week? And if anything has happened, if you had French fries that were fried to perfection, or something wonderful happened, or something terrible stopped, we welcome you to share it with us and include it in the community. We start out by acknowledging several people who make this service possible. We want to thank Lindsay, our soloist, who helps us musically. We want to thank Bob, our producer, who makes it possible for all of this to happen, because I'm not doing any of this. And so we're grateful to them. And of course, we have our in-space minions. So tonight, we want to recognize Becky, who's here with Bob, and of course is our president. We also have Joanne Barnes with her guest Carol, and we have Betty Gross and Susan Lee, and let's see, who's hiding? Oh, Paul's hiding over in the corner, and we've got Harold, and we've got Helena and Don, as always, and we're delighted to have Murray and Elizabeth Kennedy here. So in terms of the good and blessing that's come to our attention that we're aware of, we are thinking of the birthdays that have happened this week. Noreen Abravowitz and Avi, my son, Jackson Diamond, Marcia Epstein, Charlie Meehan, Lindsay Wurzel, Suzanne Aubin, Hannah Dare, happy birthday, Hannah, Rebecca Dubner, Harry Friedman, and Asher Neerman. We have no anniversaries this week, but that doesn't mean that something wonderful hasn't happened to you. So please share it with us. I'm going to begin working my way across the room. Who has a good and blessing to share? Bob.
Deb Letton got a block for her back and said it's a really good blessing.
Oh man, okay. A little relief goes a long way. That's great. Who else has anything to report? Sue.
My nephew is moving into the dorm tomorrow.
Okay.
My sister is very nervous about this.
Oh.
Kind of like,
It's
not 15 minutes from the house. He's going to UTD.
Okay.
She's very excited.
Not a UTD, no. I've seen their dorms. They're very nice. They're very nice. All right. Betty.
All my family was together and nary a bad word was said.
Mazel tov. Anybody else? It's my son's 25th birthday, and he's grown into such a wonderful young man. I'm very proud of him. So that was a good and blessing this week. Anybody else reporting online?
No.
Okay. Well, then we need to get this Shabbat started, and it's my delight to be able to invite up Joanne Barnes to kindle the lights of the Sabbath. For those of us using our prayer book, we're going to be on page 1.
In the beginning, when the Spirit of God hovered over the darkness, God's first creation was light. As we kindle these Shabbat lights, we attest to the majesty of God's work and rejoice in His beauty. Light is a symbol of divinity and creative goodness. It is the outward sign of that inner spark which God has granted each of us. In hope and with love, we now welcome Shabbat with light. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav V'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Praised are you, Adonai, whose presence fills the world, who hallows us with mitzvot and inspires us to kindle Shabbat lights.
May God bless us with Shabbat joy. May God bless us with Shabbat holiness. May God bless us with Shabbat peace. Amen. Thank you, my dear. Kol hakavod. So we are going to begin our Kabbalat Shabbat tonight by going to Psalm 96. That'll be page 3, Psalm 96. And we're going to begin in the middle of the page with Yismechu Hashemayim. Let the heavens rejoice and the earth exult, the sea and all within it thunder. Hashemayim, Yismechu Hashemayim, Yismechu Hashemayim, v'tagel haaretz. Yismechu Hashemayim, Hashemayim.
hayam umelo ira hayam umelo ira hayam umelo yismehu hashamayim hashamayim yismehu hashamayim v'tagel haaretz.
We're going to turn now to Psalm 29 in English on page 6. Ascribe to Adonai, you children of God. Ascribe to Adonai glory and strength. Ascribe to Adonai the glory of God's name, and worship Adonai in the beauty of holiness. May Adonai give strength to this people. May Adonai bless this people with peace. We're going to continue now with Lecha Dodi, our song of welcome to the Sabbath, and I'm going to ask Don, and this time I'm also going to ask RJ to be the men who man the doorway. So, Lecha Dodi, page 7, everyone.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala, bnei Shabbat nekabela. 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 Shamor bezachor bedibu echad, השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה. להדודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. להדודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת להו ונלכה, תהי מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נשואה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. להדודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. להדודי לקראת כלה, ונשבע נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך ומאורי, אורי, אורי, שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. להדודי לקראת כלה, ונשבע נקבלה. להדודי לקראת כלה, ונשבע נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני ים סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. להדודי לקראת כלה, ונשבע נקבלה. להדודי לקראת כלה, ונשבע נקבלה.
So come in peace, you crown of your husband, with rejoicing and with joy, to those who are faithful, a treasured people. Come, O Sabbath, come, O bride. Psalm 92, a psalm for the Sabbath day. Mizmor shir layom hashabbat, tov lahadot l'Adonai, uzamir l'shimcha elyon. It is good to give thanks to Adonai, to sing hymns to your name, O Most High, to proclaim your steadfast love at daybreak, your faithfulness each night, with harp, with voice, and lyre in unison. Tzaddik katamar yifrach ve'erez Lebanon yizgeh, and the righteous shall bloom like a palm. They shall thrive like a cedar in Lebanon. We continue now with Chatzi Kaddish.
יתקבל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה הילותי וימליך מלכותי, ובחייכון וביומכון, ובחיי כל בית ישראל, בגלה בגלה, ובזמן קריב, ויאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה, יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתהלל ויתהלל, שמי קדושה ברכו, לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונהמתה, דמירן בעלמה, ויאמרו אמן.
Please rise in heart or in spirit, in body or in mind.
La 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 la.
Ma'ariv Aravim, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chochma poteach sha'arim, uvitvuna mishanei itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umsader et hakokavim, b'mishmerotehem barakia kirotzono. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, umavir yom umevi layla, umavdil ben yom uvein layla. Adonai tzvaot shemo, El Chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai ha'ma'ariv aravim. May God govern us always to the end of time. Praised are you, Adonai, who makes the evening fall.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Vaed.
Please be seated. We continue with V'ahavta.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכלך בדרך, ובשופך ובקומך, ובשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיהם. אני אדוני אלוהיהם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות להם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיהם.
Emet ve'emunah kol zot, ve'kayam aleinu ki hu Adonai Eloheinu, ve'ein zuloto, ve'nachnu Yisrael, amo. True and enduring, beloved and precious, awesome, good, and beautiful is this teaching. This truth we hold to be forever certain. Adonai is our ruler, the rock of Jacob, shield of our salvation. Adonai, our God, you redeemed us from Egypt. You set us free from the house of bondage. For this, the people who felt your love sang songs of praise to you. Living God, high and exalted, mighty and awesome, who humbles the proud and raises the lowly, who frees the captive and redeems the oppressed, who is the answer to all who cry out. All praise to God Most High, the source of blessing, and like Moses and Israel, we sing this song of rejoicing, the Micha Mocha.
Mi hamma haba elim Adonai, mi hamma haneder bar kodesh, nora tehilot sefele, nora tehilot sefele. Malchut hara uvaneha bokeya yam lifnei Moshe, zehelianu ve'amru, zehelianu ve'amru. Adonai
Hashkivenu, a prayer for going to sleep. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim ufrosalenu sukat shlomecha. Grant that we lie down in peace, Adonai our God, and raise us up tomorrow, O sovereign, to a life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel, and for your name's sake, be our help. Shield us from hatred and plague. Keep us from war, famine, and anguish. Subdue our inclination to evil. O God, our guardian and helper, our gracious and merciful sovereign, give us refuge in the shadow of your wings. O guard our coming and our going, that always we have life and peace. We praise you, O God, whose sukkah of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. We continue now with the Amidah, with our standing prayers. Please rise.
Adonai sefatati tahu fia hitehiratecha. Adonai, open up my lips and my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rahel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'hanora, El Elyon gomel hasadim tovim, ve'konei hakol, ve'zocher ha'seyachot ve'imahot, u'mevii geula livnei bneihem, למען שמו ואהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ושבטך. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מלך הכל הכרה ומושיע, מהגר חיים וחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, תומך נותני ורופא חולים, ומציל אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו, משני עפר, מחרבו קרל גבורות, ומינו מלך, מלך מביט ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להעלות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלע. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
Please be seated. And this week we're going to honor Shabbat by singing Yismechu v'Malchutecha on the bottom of page 21.
ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת בקוראי עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת בקוראי עונג שבת. מקדשי שביעי שבת, כולם יצבעו ויצנגו מטובי השבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת בקוראי עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 השביעי רצית בו וקדשתו שבת, חמדת ימים, אותו קראת שבת. ישמחו במלכותיה שומרי שבת וקוראי עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותיה שומרי שבת וקוראי עונג שבת. זכר למעשה בראשית שבת, זכר למעשה בראשית שבת. ישמחו במלכותיה שומרי שבת וקוראי עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותיה שומרי שבת וקוראי עונג שבת.
Right say, Adonai, our God, show favor to this people and lovingly receive our prayers. May the worship of your people Israel always be acceptable to you, for you alone do we hold in reverence. And we give thanks to you, Adonai, our God and the God of our ancestors. You are the rock of our lives, the shield of our salvation for every generation. We thank you and we recite your praises. Let all the living affirm you and praise your name as the God of our salvation and help. Praise to you, Adonai. Goodness is your name. All praises to you. And of course, we close out with a prayer for peace. Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav al Israel amha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Israel amha tasim leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Israel amha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Israel amha tasim leolam. וטוב בעיניה לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומיה. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. ואמרו אמן.
Well, this is the time when we are in the midst of retelling our great story, the story of our captivity in Egypt and how God set us free, this magnificent tale that has shaped us and in fact has shaped the world now for centuries, for millennia. And just imagine what it must be like to realize we're free, or alternately, we escaped. We got away. What a feeling that must be. Unfortunately, this week, we just have to imagine because it hasn't happened yet. All right? What's happening to us now is we're in the middle of an escalating battle with Pharaoh for our freedom, right? Moses shows up. He comes in strong. He says, let my people go. He demonstrates a couple of miracles. Pharaoh is not impressed, so new sanctions are introduced, and Pharaoh says, okay, I concede, this is indeed what God's will is, and he says, well, let your people go, but then he reverses himself, and he even makes things more difficult for the Israelites, and the people become discouraged. And then it starts building up again and again, more sanctions, more suffering for the Egyptians as more and more plagues fall upon them. Why can't we just get there? Why can't it just be over with? Why can't we just declare ourselves free? Why can't we just say we're on our way out of Egypt, or even we're in the promised land? But it doesn't work that way. And I think it's no coincidence that Martin Luther King Day happens right around this time every year. It's just about these Torah portions that we get to hear and think about Martin Luther King, one of the great and most significant figures of the post-World War 20th century. A man of peace, a man with incredible oracle talents, oratory talents that I just can't even compare myself to, which is why I don't like to bring him up too much. But he really understood the struggle. He knew the struggle. He made that struggle. He wrote as early as 1959, when we, the Jewish people, had already been in alliance with the Black community for about 15 years, trying to help them achieve their equality, the right to vote, the proper application of the 14th and 15th Amendment to the lives of Black Americans everywhere, when he wrote the following. He wrote, "Why is God slow in conquering the forces of evil? Why did God permit Hitler to kill 6 million Jews? Why did God permit slavery to continue in America for 244 years? Why does God permit bloodthirsty mobs to lynch Negro men and women and drown Negro boys and Negro girls at whim? Why does God not break in and smash the evil schemes of wicked men? He didn't really have an answer, as we don't have an answer today. As we return to this Torah portion one more time, we are reminded that there is always a struggle, that there is never a smooth path forward. But he wrote as a nechemta, as a comfort to his listeners, God does not forget his children who are victims of evil forces. He gives us the interior resources to bear our burdens and tribulations of life. When we are in the darkness of some oppressive Egypt, God is a light to our path. He imbues us with the strength needed to endure the ordeals of Egypt, and he gives us the courage and power to undertake the journey ahead. He understands this Torah portion, and he understands what it means to struggle for freedom. From this point on, 1959, it really is a remarkable story. The civil rights movement takes on a mature form. It's competing in many different kinds of struggles. We remember, for example, Dr. King's devotion to nonviolence. And we tend to overlook and recall that there were other people also struggling for freedom and rights who didn't necessarily choose nonviolence, who chose violence. And we forget the opportunists and the exploiters who engaged in rioting and looting along the way as millions of African Americans fought for their freedom. Sounds kind of familiar. And we have to realize that our narrative, the Jewish narrative we tell about our part in this, is lovely. We were there with Dr. King. Rabbis from the Reform movement were there with him. Young Jewish men and women were coming down to be freedom riders, and then they joined in the Southern campaign to register Black voters. And finally, by the time we got to Selma, it was busloads of Jews coming down and marching beside Dr. King with A.J. Heschel, the great conservative philosopher, as well as Reform rabbis in the ranks, and it's all amazing. But we tend to smooth out that story. We tend to overlook some of the bumps and some of the challenges along the way. King himself was not unaware of them at the time. He understood that there wasn't a seamless relationship between Blacks and Jews in this alliance. He wrote, I think we also have to say that the anti-Semitism which we find in the Black community is almost completely an urban, northern, ghetto experience because it's virtually non-existent in the South. I think this comes from because the Negro in the ghetto confronts the Jew in two dissimilar roles. On one hand, he confronts the Jews in the roles of being his most consistent and trusted ally in the struggle for justice in the civil rights movement. More than any other ethnic group, the Jewish community has been sympathetic and has stood as an ally to the Negro in our struggle for justice. On the other hand, the Negro confronts the Jew in the ghetto as his landlord. And in many instances, and while the Jewish storekeeper or landlord is not operating on the basis of Jewish ethics, he is operating simply as a marginal businessman who these conflicts still come into being. And so it is that King understood that our relationship with the campaign for Black civil rights was a complicated one, and that there was anger in the Jewish community, in parts of the Jewish community towards the Black community, and that there was anti-Semitism in the Black community towards the Jewish community. And all of that was in the background, along with all the other conflicts and all the other struggles going on throughout that period, forging our way towards a glorious moment when the Civil Rights Act would be passed and efforts would be put to put equal opportunity employment and other elements to ensure that maybe, just maybe, Black people would have something close to an equal chance in our society. And we came through that period and so much was achieved. And there was a feeling at the end that we were free, that they were free and that we had escaped and they had escaped. And yet, like the Torah portion, we keep finding ourselves back here again, fighting again, struggling again, pitted against common opponents, but also struggling with one another. I think the reason that we read these Torah portions over and over again is because it really never finishes. We never truly, completely escape Egypt. We never truly, finally arrive at the promised land that God has given us. Rather, we find ourselves a little bit better off. We've gotten farther along the road, a little more freedom, and yet we find we return once again to have to fight new battles and new struggles. So just like what King was saying about our Torah portion and the fact that we keep coming back to it again, we keep finding ourselves back, maybe with new issues, maybe with different problems. Maybe it's an issue about policing or the judicial system, or maybe it's some struggle that Jews have because not only are we now confronting anti-Semitism coming from the far right, but we're also encountering it from the far left. And we find ourselves sometimes pitted against each other as well as allies in social action and righteousness. But the Torah portion reminds us that we will get through it, that there is a moment when liberation comes. Whatever our struggles now, we will fulfill them. Dr. King is long gone. A.J. Heschel is long gone. But we are the heirs to their efforts. And if we look around America, we can always see that America is a promise becoming that never quite arrives, just as our journey as Jews to the promised land is coming, but we never just quite get there. So don't despair. Take a lesson from Dr. King, who recognizes that in due time, we will achieve the goals we want, but they won't come easily. They will come with struggle. They will come with difficulty. They will come with setbacks. But in due time, we will find a place to rest, to sit under our vines and our fig trees, and to no longer be afraid. So I wish you a Shabbat Shalom, and I wish you an honorable Martin Luther King Day, which is, I think, Monday, and enjoy the week. Think about the legacy that the Jewish and Black community have created together and the things we still need to work on. So it's time for announcements. And here's our beloved president. Come on up.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Welcome everyone that's here and everybody that's online. You made it through the week. We're slowly making our way through the new year, although it still seems like the old one. Somebody told me that every day is like Blur's Day. And I truly, truly feel that sometimes, but this is a very nice break on a Friday evening. So welcome your Shabbat and take a rest and enjoy. We just have a handful of announcements this week. For our teens, we have our CKA disc golf that is starting up for 14 to 18-year-olds. I'm going to state the obvious that it is outside and it's socially distanced and we will be masked. It's just a chance to try to get the kids together and to try to do something safely while we're still in the midst of COVID. Parents are welcome to tag along and play. Everybody's going to gather starting Sunday. We postponed it a week just because of last week's weather, but they're going to meet this Sunday, January 17th, 3 p.m. at LL Woods Park in Louisville. They're going to hopefully get through 9 to 18 rounds of disc golf. And the rabbi apparently is bringing snacks.
I will bring snacks. I have
That's what it says. It says you're bringing snacks.
Yeah, well,
So
self-contained little individual snacks.
please sign up on the website. I'm sure they're gonna be like super healthy too, right?
Unbelievably healthy.
Yeah, okay. That's a way to encourage the kids to come.
Reduced to their most essential sugars.
That's right. Also, we're going to go from teens to cemetery. What a nice segue. Just a continued reminder that you have until the end of the month before the cost of cemetery plots go up at the Garden of Generations. This is like a hawker standing up here. Please note this price increase is truly just us passing along the cost that the cemetery is passing to us as, you know, for maintenance, and they have to expand the garden further. This is still really, really affordable. The prices are increasing $500 for both members and non-members. And if you purchased your plot prior to February 1st, where it doesn't impact the prices, are literally all my announcements tonight. Got to end on a good note. As we head to Mishaberach, if there are any names that you need to send through the chat, please feel free. But as our custom is at Congregation Kol Ami, I'll go through the room, and if you have a name, please just let me know. So.
Maxine Collins, Jim Clark, Mike Nelson, Tom Holiday, and Dana Hall.
Thank you.
Judy Drew,
Thank you.
Wanda Butts, Sarah Moore,
Thank you.
Salvador Fonte.
Thank you. And I have Melissa Toon. Also, we want to wish Harry Anthony, Anna Binder, Natalie Bovino, Karen Bucksbaum, David Chapman, Ken Chisholm, Quala Chisholm, Dave Cook, Jeanette Dubrow, Pat Ducar, Gordon Ellison, Tammy Ferris, Pat Gray, Michelle Griffith, James Hart, Ken Hirschman, Jody Hoffman, Deb Kaufman, Lauren Koenig, Alex Koenig, Sandy Lensner, Karen Moore Canocchioli, Judy Morasic, Herbert Paley, Nancy Redmond, Myra Schusler, Jacob Watt, and Lillian Wolf. Were there any names submitted via chat?
No.
So with that, if you want to join me for Misha Beirach. Misha Beirach Avotenu Makor HaBracha Laimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misheberach imotenu makor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Thank you, my dear. All right, we are going to turn to our closing part of the service, the Aleinu. And even though it has in fact been years since he's been in charge of the building this week, I still see Don Dawsey coming in and out repairing things. So I think Don should come and open the ark with us. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. Page 82. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'te'ila yotzer breshit, shelo asanu k'voyei haratzot, v'lo samanu k'mishpachot adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'goraleinu kechol hamunah. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נותן שמיים ויוצר הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגוהי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו
היום, וידעת היום להשב אותה אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים, בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד.
ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. Our lives, O God, are in your hands. In you we trust. Whatever may be our destiny, we know you will be there. Though we may never fathom the mysteries of life and death, we know of your gift of life, which each of us has treasured. So no matter what the final end, let us rejoice in the sweetness of the past and our faith in life to come. There will we find you, your love and your blessing. And so we take time now to recall with love and gratitude the individuals who have passed away, whether it be recently or this season in years past. We turn first to our Shiva list, and we think lovingly of our past president, Mel Gross, husband of Betty, father of Jeff, Aaron, and Chaika, who died this past week. Is there anyone else who is aware of a Shiva? We have no one listed for Shloshim this week. Is there anyone who has suffered a loss that we're unaware of? Yes. Thank you. All right. And for the yard site, for the anniversaries of death, we think of these people connected to our congregation. Zelda Belarski, Yvonne Bunting, Robert A. Dietz, Jack Goldberg, Joseph Kowarski, William Kuharski, Phelps S. Kurjan, Ruth Levine, Elmer Patterson, Laura Quaife, Abraham Al Shane, J.C. McGregor Scott, Eva Rubin, Osher Sapolsky, Linda Spiegel, Samuel Weinstock, Dorothy Weiser, and Elke Weizenblut. Is there anyone else with an anniversary of death, a yard site this week? The memory of all these people are here with us, and as a community, we join together in support of those who mourn by turning to page 85 and reciting Kaddish. Please rise. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, v'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon, uv'chayei d'kol beit Yisrael, bagalal uv'zman kariv v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba mim shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Oh, forgive me, I got completely distracted. Yit barach v'yishtabach v'yit pa'ar v'yit madam v'yit naseh v'yit hadar v'yit haleh v'yit halal shmei d'kudsha barichu le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba mim shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mroma, uyasei shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn, and comfort all the bereaved among us. And let us say, amen. Please be seated, everyone. We're going to have a closing song, and then we're going to go ahead and share a little Kiddush and a little Challah. Our closing song, apropos of both our Torah portion and MLK weekend, is the famous American Black spiritual Go Down Moses, which many American Jews have appropriated for their Passover Seders. We thought we'd include a couple of stanzas here in honor of this week.
Is this in the book at all, or?
Nope.
Well, fortunately, it repeats a lot of words, and chances are you already know it. Yay. When Israel was in Egypt's land, let my people go. Oppressed so hard they could not stand, let my people go. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt's land. Tell old Pharaoh to let my people go. Oh, let us all from bondage flee. Let my people go. As soon may all the earth be free. Let my people go. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt's land. Tell old Pharaoh to let my people go.
Lindsay, would you lead us in Kiddush?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pari hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzav banu, v'shabbat kodsho v'ahava uratzon hinhilanu. Zikaron lema'aseh bereshit, ki hu yom tehila lemikraei kodesh, zeher letziat Mitzrayim. Ki banu v'aharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim, ve'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinhaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. Amen.
L'chaim. Come over here. Now, sadly, this week we don't have Lindsay and Sampson with us, and Casey. I'm sorry. Why did I say Lindsay? My apologies. Casey and Sampson with us, and therefore we have been left bereft without a challah. However, our president came to the rescue and brought us a challah, and so we have something to celebrate with. And so, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in the motzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen.
Shabbat shalom.